Hello everyone. Sorry here. Thank you so much for joining me for another Kendra Card Challenge Super Sponsor Hop, this time featuring Artful Angels. And I'm going to be using this fantastic lion image. And this is called the King of the Jungle. And I am going to have a little fun with this. As you can see, I have already brought out the blue. And I'm inspired by some pattern paper that I'm going to be using for my sketch, and so I decided to use some blues and yellows, in this case kind of like a yellowy orange, to color this lion. And it was a challenge. It was not something that I have done to create this two-tone and knowing where to color, but I really liked how it turned out. So the colors that I'm mostly showing on the screen here, I'm using my Olos, and it is these yellow oranges and then just the blues. I'm trying to keep the blue in the center, working its way up, and then anywhere where it's kind of deep, where it's shadowed, I'm bringing in this blue. I use the yellow green just a little bit. It's not really needed, because when I put the yellow and the blues together, I do get a green. Putting it down now was more to help me know where I want the transition to happen. It doesn't hurt it. It does add a little bit, but it's not necessarily needed if you don't have a yellow-green that matches these. So now I'm bringing out the different shades, in this case the B46, just to darken it up. I'm trying to follow where the hair is overlapping. If there's any overlapping, I'm making that darker. And I'm also following along the edges. And I'm doing the exact same thing with the yellow-orange. The face was tough. I actually looked up some images online to see how the shading of a lion looks, and that helped a lot. So if you're ever stuck, just try Google searching some images. And it really showed me where to add the shadow and the highlights. Because in this case, it actually makes a huge difference, especially on that face, because when it's lighter, it's up close, and when it's darker, it feels further away. And if I just made it all kind of like one color, then it'd be a very flat face. It wouldn't have that dimension. So I'm taking my time with this and really emphasizing on the different areas. And I did bring in some of that blue down the forehead, which I thought was really, really neat. And I'm just having a ball coloring this, trying something new with colors that I don't typically work with, especially with an image like this. And even the little muzzle, the little furry part on the bottom of his mouth, just adding a little bit of blue, keeping it white remaining, it just turned out really nice. When I'm done all this, I am going to bring in a darker orange to work with the eyes. The first color is 025, and I just go around the inside, and then I do a 27 just around the edge. Then I bring in the colorless blender to really saturate it, and it will push the colors out. Okay, so now that I have my image colored, I have also fussy cut the image out, and I left the other little pieces on because I don't know if I'm going to keep them or not. And if I do keep them, I want to make sure that I know where they are positioned, because I can cut them off and then just glue them down. And the inspiration for this was my pattern paper here. The paper that I used was actually a Christmas pattern paper that I got last year, I believe, and it's Vicky Bouton's. I just love her paper. I just love the different designs. And so when I saw these two, that's what inspired me to create this lion. The next thing I did was I created a background. I did this off camera just to save some time, but I'll show you exactly what I did. I took this cheetah stencil and I placed it on a piece of brown cardstock. This cardstock is, I don't think it's Recollection, because Recollection's pretty thin, but it's just something I had in my stash. The pastes that I used were these neon lunar pastes, and I have Yellow Jacket and No Chill. These have a nice metallic sheen to them, and it's just absolutely beautiful. So what I did was, on a mat, I took a little bit of yellow using this palette knife and placed it here, here, and here. And then I took my blue after wiping this off, and I put it in the middle. That was the plan. And then I take this big palette knife and I just squished it all the way down. Now, because I didn't have enough, and you didn't see all this, but this behind the scenes, I didn't have enough, so I kept putting it down. If I hadn't done that, I would have had yellow, 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 and then blue in the middle, but it would only reach down to about here. I'm okay with how it turned out. I like it, but if you want to have straight lines, just make sure you just do it once or line it up perfectly again. Or you could have put the paste on this. Whatever works for you. Then, interestingly enough, I was just trying to hurry this up so I can play with it. So I was using the heat gun to dry it. But when I went to heat the other side because it was bending, and I turned it this way, I realized that I started getting bubbling. And at first I was like, shoot, I gotta start over. But then I really liked it. So I started to overheat this side very carefully, not to burn it or anything, just to create this extra texture here. So that's why there's bubbles periodically here and there, because I was doing spots of intense heat. I think that's kind of cool. I don't know if it's needed for this card. Maybe if you had like a grungy, rusty type paper, but I really like that, and I wasn't expecting my paste to do that. Now that this is done, I have trimmed it down to 4 inches by 5 1/4 so that I have a 1/4 inch, or actually 1/18 inch gap around the whole card base. So let's glue that down. You can use double-sided tape if your paper has bent and it's not flat. If your paper is thick enough, then it may not be a problem, or you can just heat it so that it bends the other way. But like I said, just be careful, because if you don't want those bubbles, you need to probably just let it dry with time, or if you're heating it, just stay as far away as possible while still providing heat. It will take a lot longer to heat it that way with the heat gun. Okay, so now I have that. So in the sketch, we have the 2 strips here, and I should have put these down first. I was so busy talking that I wasn't thinking. So I'll fix that. That's okay. So you'll see how I can fix this very easily. I will just use a pencil. So I'm just going to line these up to see that I have enough space on the top and the bottom. And I'm just going to kind of eyeball that. I don't care if it's not perfect. It's going to be something like that. And then I'm just going to take a pencil. I'll mark the bottom here and here, here, and here. And I'm going to have to put a little piece of tape here just so I can make sure that this doesn't come apart. Now this is just a piece of used tape that I've used so much before that I'm not worried about its stickiness. If this was a fresh piece of tape, I would never have stuck it right on the front, because that would have potentially ripped my paper. So then I'll just take my little paper cutter here and I'll line those marks up. Now, like I said, there's always ways of doing this, but because I have already started gluing things down, I'm showing you real time how I just keep going so I'm not wrecking anything. Because I don't want to rip this off. And it's just a good reminder that you don't need to keep starting over or anything like that. Don't panic, just keep going. I'm putting this back down just so that I can verify that my line has not shifted. So I'll line this up on the right hand side here, and making sure that these lines are still lined up, and they are, so that's good. So now I can just put this in my trimmer. Oops, I'm off camera. If you are a little bit nervous, go past your pencil line so that you have a little bit of wiggle room in case things move. You can always cut more. You can't, well, you can actually put it back together again, but it's a lot harder. And there we go. Okay, so then I can take this back off. See, it was a used piece of tape, so that's okay. I always have little pieces of scrap double-sided, or these sticky tape things, and they come in handy when you make mistakes a lot. Okay, so next what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue this down, but I am going to add a little bit of double-sided tape just because this is so thick. Okay, so now I'm going to glue this one down. I'll take the release tape off. I am going to add a little bit of liquid glue anyways, because I want that wiggle room that glue has. It will make it so that this double-sided tape is not going to stick right away. Although I'm not overly worried. Once again, this is lifted pretty high. So let's put this one down so I know where I want to put it. Once again, the same over here as on the top. I want to make sure that we have as close as possible. So I think that is a little bit down. There we go. That is good enough. That is good enough. And we'll do the exact same thing for the bottom here. You can see the nice Christmas paper on the back here. I love these papers. They are so much fun, and I've made so many things with just this pattern paper. Not just one I'm holding, but the pad. Okay, now to finalize this card, I'm going to prop this up. I'm not going to use foam tape because I have so many scraps of paper laying around that I need to use them up. So I'm just going to cut about 3, maybe 4 pieces here. There's another one. Look, I have all these pieces. It's ridiculous. I gotta throw some of this out. I thought that I would use it up, but it's building up way faster than I can use. Okay, so let's glue these all together. It doesn't have to be pretty at all. Not at all. And then we'll just do one more. I'll just do a little piece here. Okay. And then we'll just glue this down to my lion. Just like that. And now I'll have some height. Now, before I glue that down, I'm just debating. I think I'm going to trim these off and then glue down. But I don't think I like it because the background is so dark. I think they stand out a little too much. So I'll be right back to cut these off. You don't need to see me do that. Okay, so I've cut them off and I've placed them on the back there. I think that actually looks nice with the dimension there. So I have my lion up top and then the pieces hanging below. I think that looks pretty cool. So I will glue this down. And we'll just place that right back in the center of my card. So this would represent the circle on the sketch. I'm just using this big lion's mane and head for this. That's so cool. I love this so much. And then we'll just glue down these pieces. I'm not worried about double-sided tape. I'm just going to make sure there's a lot of glue there. And that will stick down pretty nicely, I hope. We'll just try to add a little bit of glue there. This one's fine. And then this one. And this one. I'll try to do that one. Here we go. I am not going to put a sentiment on this one. The stamp set does come with sentiments, but I think this card just looks fantastic on its own. It's like a little art piece. And so I'm going to keep it this way. I have all the room inside to add a sentiment, so I can easily do that. But look at that. I have some beautiful shimmer here. I have this really cool blue and yellowy orange lion that kind of matches this Christmas paper. To be honest, it's actually Christmas paper. So this is so cool. I love it. And you can get this image from Artful Angels yourself. It's such a great stamp. I'm so glad I have this in my collection. It's so cool. So I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you got some inspiration creating. And don't forget to check out what the other designers have created with their products. So until the next time, have a fantastic week, and I'll talk to you all later. Take care. Bye.